Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Fighters First. I'm Mike Ginn. That's the mechanic, Brandon Cuttino, back in action for another week. We're talking a lot of one championship. There was no UFC, no Bellator, no PFL last week, but one definitely stole the show. It had an impressive showing, too. We'll talk about that later or in a short bit. We'll also be talking about making our preview and picks for UFC Paris this weekend. We got the heavyweights in action, Gane versus Tuivasa. That's going to be a banger. Can't wait for that. We also will have some exciting news coming later this week for Fighters First, so stay tuned for that. But make sure you check out fightersfirst.shop, get the Mechanic collection, get Art of MMA's collection. Let our apparel be a part of your story. We're growing more and more, and it's all thanks to you, so thank you. And we're looking forward to bringing you more great, fantastic things. Check out fightersfirst.shop. Yep, Brandon's got the Don't Look Back shirt on there. I got the, obviously, Art of MMA. How you doing, Brandon? How was your weekend?
Doing good, man. Weekend was good. Ready to talk some of my minds with you.
A little sad. Giants took the L to the Jets, but it's preseason, whatever.
Yeah.
They look good. The offense putting up numbers, More injuries, though. So, thankfully, Tyrod's not going to be hurt long. Looks like we're going to be carrying 3 quarterbacks, though, because Davis Webb made sure people remember him.
Yeah, he did good.
Yeah, him, Bachman, Sills, a lot of gems there. So, I don't know what we're doing with Slayton. That's my boy. I kind of selfishly hope he stays, but with all the injuries, maybe he will. But I heard he's on the trade block, so
yeah.
I mean, we'll see the next couple days.
Last year he definitely had a case of the drop. So
yeah, but the year before, like his rookie year, he was like,
on fire. Yeah,
he was on fire. Like, yeah, which guy are you getting? And he also made a couple of big plays last year too.
Yeah, sophomore slump. That's what I always say.
Everybody dropped the ball last year. Even Shepard, who has great hands, was dropping the ball last year. Obviously, nobody as much as Evan Ingram. Good luck, Jacksonville. Good luck. We got some nice little tight ends now. I love our tight end group right now. Bellinger and Allen. And I love our tight ends, so that's going to be fun. But that's enough football talk. I know people want us here to talk about MMA. Before we get into the show today, though, Brandon, Bellator stepped up. They got 2 big cards coming at the end of the year. You got Bellator 288, which finally has the rematch for Nemkov and Anderson. I don't know if it's technically the final of the Grand Prix again.
Yeah.
Is it? Like, does the winner get $1 million?
Yeah.
Okay, that, rematch. And they also got the co-main event on that one, Patricky Pitbull going against Usman Nurmagomedov. Nurmagomedov, obviously Khabib's cousin, undefeated. That's 2 big fights for that one. And then they also announced 289. You got the continuation of the Bantamweights Grand Prix. You got Stotts defending his title against Sabatello, his interim title. You got Magomedov and Patchy Mix. And then I also heard later in December, don't they have AJ McKee on the card too?
AJ McKee is on the same card as Pitbull on October 1st.
Okay, yeah, okay. So they got a lot coming up. Bellator is bringing the fire towards the end of the year, so pay attention to Bellator for sure. But Brandon, let's hop into the show. People here to hear us give our reactions. Last weekend, the only show in town was the biggest show in town. One had 2 cards, back-to-back nights. We won't be talking about 160, but at 160, we saw a couple new champions. Christian Lee took the title off Ray Yunoke in what is their lightweight division, but it's really like the welterweights. And then their 155-pound division, which doesn't actually have a title, like a name. We saw Tang take the win over Lee to get that title as well. So I did see 160. It was an exciting card. That was pretty awesome. And then the next night, they turned around and put on a show for America with One on Prime 1, featuring the rematch, Moraes versus Johnson, Mighty Mouse, the second one. They also had a bunch of fantastic Muay Thai fights. They had some exciting heavyweight fights. All their fights were just bangers. But we're going to start off in the main event, One on Prime, Adriano Moraes versus Demetrious Johnson 2. Brandon, I want to get your reaction. Mighty Mouse took home the gold. He got the huge knockout in the 4th round. But it wasn't smooth sailing the whole fight for him. What did you think of the whole thing?
Yeah, no, like I said, the first time they fought, I had thought Mighty Mouse, was doing real good, until he got caught, and that's why I had picked him. I had figured that he would be able to, clean things up, and you can see it. You can just see like Mighty Mouse is still evolving. He's still getting better. Same, the guy can mix it, he can blend it, and that's how he did. Like you said, he was having a little bit of trouble in the earlier rounds, but I mean but it was still competitive. And then in the 4th round, he did his thing. I think Moraes threw a punch, DJ, I think, ducked under it, came back with his right hand, rocked him, and then he just followed up, waited perfectly, good timing, and then boom, flying knee, walked off.
Yeah, Mighty Mouse with an amazing finish in what their flyweight division is. Obviously, bantamweights here, 135 pounds. Couple things. One, first couple rounds, I thought Moraes was controlling the action. I thought he was absolutely controlling the action the first couple rounds. Third round, DJ kind of started turning it around. I don't know, Moraes was getting tired. You could kind of see him not, as fast as he was the first couple rounds. Whereas DJ didn't slow down. He just kept coming like later in the fight. So that was a big benefit later in the fight for DJ. But it also just shows you how good Demetrious Johnson is at all times, how dangerous he is at all times. We've seen in UFC when he'd do like flying arm bars out of nowhere, and he'd be in some of these slug fights and he'd always come out on top. Well, he was in trouble at one point, right? Because at one point, Moraes had him on the ground. It was just peppering him with knees, right? He was trying to get him out the way he did the first time. And DJ somehow survived that because he was getting rocked. And then somehow he popped up and he was able to keep going like Mighty Mouse. I mean, the dude just all of a sudden super powered up and kept coming. I thought he was done then. So for him to come back in that fourth round with that big knockout was huge, huge. I got to think the trilogy is next, right? They got to run it back and break the tie, right?
I have no idea, man. I mean, like I said, when Demetrious Johnson had lost, they were trying to get the rematch right then and there, but he actually said no. He would take his time and he would go to the back of the line. So I mean, the same thing could happen now, where they might have Moraes maybe go and get like 1 or 2 fights in and maybe run it back, but we shall see.
Well, I mean, the only fight DJ took between then and there was the mixed fight with Rodting, right? So it wasn't like he went all the way to the back of the line. And Moraes only defended his belt once in the meantime, which was on the same card. The thing about that is that if you look at the rankings, if it's not Moraes, then it's got to be Akhmedov or Wakamatsu. Like, those are the two guys, which, and if I'm not mistaken, Moraes beat Wakamatsu in the 1X, right? Was that who he beat? So, like, who really else gets the rematch except for the former champ in this case, who was also not like he didn't defend the belt for a while. He had like 6 title defenses. It wasn't like brand new. Like all of a sudden you got knocked out, you don't get another shot. Like he had been the king of the division for a while. So I think they're going to probably run it back eventually, probably sooner than later. I could see DJ taking time off and enjoying the holidays and stuff like that. Doesn't seem to be fighting as much as he used to, but he is 36 years old. So, By the way, ESPN, how dare you? How dare you? They put out a list of like the best fighter at every age. No disrespect to Michael Chandler, but how the frick are you going to put Michael Chandler as the best 36-year-old in the world over Demetrious Johnson and then not even have DJ as an honorable mention? And then you're going to claim you had MMA writers help you vote on this list? If Brett Okamoto and all those dudes forgot Demetrious Johnson, they all need to be fired. Every single one of them need to be fired. And they've all done great work over the years, but they need to be fired if they forgot DJ. Moving on. So the co-main event, we actually picked the other heavyweight fight, which was, short but crazy. Marcus Almeida versus Grashenko. Almeida with the heel hook. What did you make of that heavyweight clash?
Yeah, no, like that's what I had thought the fight was gonna end, was gonna be on the ground, and that's how it went down. Almeida, he got the takedown and went right in. He went right into the submission. So, it was beautiful. That was some good jiu-jitsu. The only thing is though, he's got to make sure he starts working on his stand-up because if he can't get the fight to the ground, he might be in trouble.
Yeah, he got caught a couple times. Buchecha, first of all, he lost a really close friend 3 weeks ago. Prayers to his family. He basically just powered through this camp because he knew his friend would not want him to quit. I think it was one of his coaches or something like that. But to go through that 3 weeks before you're about to fight on a major card is crazy. And then he came out and performed. He was obviously very emotional in the post-fight. So shout out to Almeida, fantastic performance. Once he got on the ground, tried to grab him the armbar. He grabbed the heel. Instant tap. That's how tight he got it right off the bat. So Almeida is a force in that heavyweight division. Another heavyweight fight you had. Alec Barra, oh my God, him and Ciryl were like, you talk about heavyweight bashes, Brandon. Like those are the ones we like talk about. These guys were throwing bombs.
Yeah.
Oh my God, and both of them had a chance to finish it at any given time. Like the first round, you thought, like, all right, Alec Barra was going to finish him with that. You know, he had him in a crucifix position. He was just hitting him, and they let it go. Second round, Ciryl almost came out and finished him, and then Alec Barra turned it back around and got the TKO. That was crazy. One thing I want to talk to you about this card is those Muay Thai fights, Brandon. Obviously, my fight got canceled with Rodtang, but his substitution. By the way, the second time this has happened in their careers, because they are training partners, Pimpayek stepped in for him and took out Michael with some of the most beautiful shots I have ever seen. What did you think of that one?
Yeah, man, it was a good fight, you know, for how long it lasted.
I mean, it went to the second round.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but it was over 10 seconds into the second round. It was right hook, left kick, boom, lights out. It was done.
Man, that dude is freaking awesome. I'm a huge new fan now of Pimpayek. Like that dude was crazy. The first round, he was just landing so many crazy shots. And then the second round, yeah, he just took him out. That was it. This is the second time like Rodtang couldn't make a fight, and that was it. I want to ask you, do you think this is it for Rodtang at Muay Thai? Because he said after this tournament he was going to go into MMA.
I mean, dude, to me, I always say, man, money talks. You know, we'll see what happens, what it is that one has in store for him.
Yeah, he's been talking a lot about doing MMA after this Grand Prix, and he had the trouble with the weight cutting, and so we'll talk about this a little bit in the Battleground segment with one in their weight divisions. But they do a hydration test and a weight cut to make sure you're 100% healthy going into a fight. That's one of their big weight cutting things. And I guess from what we know, which is very little, Rodtang wasn't willing to submit the hydration test. So we don't know if he was on weight or not. He never got to that point. He just didn't do the hydration test. So they got Pimpayek in there. Pimpayek passed all the stuff, kept the Grand Prix going. He was an alternate for the tournament. So only his second appearance in one, and both have been impressive KOs. So look more for that guy. And over on the other side of the bracket, we had Superlek. Talk about quick fights. He just destroyed Goncalves.
Elbows for days, man. Elbows for days. Saying that's one of the beauties about Muay Thai, man. You could throw elbows, and that's what happened, man. He was lighting him up with some elbows.
Who do you think comes out on top between Pimpayek and Superlek?
Well, I had Superlek winning the whole thing anyway, so I'm gonna still just rock with Superlek.
And it's gonna be crazy. Like those two both can strike like straight up pure, beautiful. Like, you know, we always talk about in America how much we love watching somebody striking MMA contest. And one does this thing where, like, I'm not a huge fan of kickboxing and Muay Thai for mainly the big gloves, right? But one does them with the 4-ounce gloves, which I love. And those fights are so much more exciting to me. It's not rock'em sock'em robots. It's rock'em sock'em and they drop. and it's just like a lot more finality when you come to some of these fights. And I think it's just crazy. Real quick before we get out of here, I want to talk about the other title fight on there. Nong O took out Liam Harrison almost like how Vera took out Sean O'Malley with that leg kick behind the leg. What you think of all that? Yeah,
man. Like he just it seemed like Liam Harrison maybe could have came in with the injury or not. But like I said, Nongo he kicked him, basically like right on his knee, and he went down and he wasn't able to get back up.
And the last thing, Brandon, the only flaw you had of the night, you picked the ladies fight and you were wrong.
Yeah, I know, man. Amber Kitchen didn't get the job done. I should have actually went with the other women's MMA fight, which was the Hirata fight. I should have picked her, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it was an exciting night. I gave one a lot of flack for their TNT performance, but their show on Prime was pretty well done. I really enjoyed that performance. Like I said, we went through most of the results. The only ones we didn't talk about, we just kind of hinted at. DeAndre Martin beat Amber Kitchen in a Muay Thai fight. Hirata beat Hequin in another MMA fight. And then Katistan beat Lapicius by knockout in the first round, which I believe was a performance bonus as well. They were handing out 50.
He gives out, and by the way, man, Chachi, man, he gives out bonus like out the wazoo, man, just cause.
Oh yeah, 50K here, 50K there. You get a 50K, and the best thing is they don't even wait till after the show. They're doing it during the post-fight press conference, and then the fighters just like got to react to it. DJ was just like, "Oh, thank you, thanks." Like he didn't even know what to say, and so did what's his name? I think it was Buchetta. Like, yeah, he got like the 50K bonus, and he's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. I don't know what to say."
Yeah,
it's pretty much. But look, one put on a fantastic card, a lot of great action. I'm looking forward to see what they do in One Prime 2, which is coming up. I think that's the Angela Lee card. It's in a couple weeks though, right? It's like 2 or 3 weeks away.
Yeah, I believe it is in September. So
I'll look at that. Get back to you on that one for the next card. But they definitely have a really good program for that one. The next one is on September 30th. So that's going to be the Zhang Li 3 fight. So that's going to be pretty exciting. All right, Brandon, that is that. We're going to move over into Battleground before we make our preview and picks today. I have a question for you, Brandon. The question Battleground is, does one do weight cutting better or just different? We saw 9 different fighters not get through weight cuts this time. Really wreaked havoc on the card. Is it worth it? Is it the right way, or is it just a different way?
My opinion, I think it's just a different way, because if it was better, then you wouldn't see fighters not get pulled from cards. Everybody would have the system down where they can make weight properly and everybody would be set. But to me, if you got, like, say you got 9 fighters that are already missing weight, then to me it's just different. Like, it's not really making everything better. Like saying like it's like because I think one thing was where they would say like, oh, we fixed weight cutting, but no, you really didn't. People still aren't making weight. Like, yeah, okay, maybe it's this rehydration test, which is a little different for people, but it's still not getting people in the proper weight classes or whatever that they're supposed to do, and then fighting. Because like I said, you just had 9 fights on this one card. Well, usually like in the UFC or Bellator, somebody might miss weight, but they're not. The fight's still happening because they could maybe miss it by a pound or 2. But then you do have some people who do miss it by like 4 pounds or so. But the fights are still happening. It's nothing where somebody has to get pulled.
I find it all kind of hypocritical because, for one, they changed the name of the divisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Christian Lee is now the welterweight champion, but it's really 155 pounds. You have Demetrious Johnson is the flyweight champion, but it's really, but he's really 135 pounds.
Yep.
He said himself, he considers himself, he'll never cut down to 125 again because his age and it's just not healthy for him anymore. So he considers himself on the level of like an Aljamain Sterling and stuff like that. He's a 135 pounder. You can call the divisions whatever you want. Let's be clear, because boxing, who originally originated all these divisions, their weight classes are 100% completely different than what we see in like UFC and stuff like that, right? In Bellator. Mm-hmm. Like a welterweight in boxing is like 147 pounds, 140 pounds, not 170. So Dana, when they launched the UFC, started making these weight divisions, or when they took over the UFC, started making these weight divisions, but it was kind of based on boxing, but it was very loosely based on boxing because obviously his background. So the names are taken, but the weight classes are completely different. And so it's not unheard of for a promotion to make up their own names for weight classes. We've been seeing it. We just become accustomed to it that it kind of catches us off guard, right? But it's kind of hypocritical because you still have fighters missing weight. If a fighter is fighting at 135 pounds like DJ, well, now maybe instead of walking around at 160 pounds to make 125, they're walking around 180 pounds to make 135. They're still doing the same thing. These fighters will not learn their lesson about weight cutting. And it's unfortunate because fighters have actually died from weight cutting. We've seen fighters hospitalized multiple times, like the Renan Barão situation was scary, not once, but twice, where he almost almost lost his life from weight cutting. We've seen the video of Cyborg in a bathtub, sweating, profusely shaking to try to make weight. Fighters aren't going to learn their lesson. They're going to take every edge they can to try to get any inch, right? For instance, Brandon, you're 6'1", You fight regularly at 155 pounds. Am I wrong to say you probably walk around at least 190?
No, I don't walk around. I'm not that big.
180?
I'm not that big. Nah, man, dude. I'm in the 170s. I'm a light guy. That's
so
why
you barely cut.
Yeah.
Compared to a lot of these guys. Like some of the guys in your gym, like you see what they do. Like Shane Burgos, for instance, he fights at 145 pounds. You can't tell me he doesn't walk around at least at the same weight as you, if not more.
Yeah.
I've seen Jimmy Rivera. Jimmy Rivera has like, he gets, because you can see almost he gets like the little puffy face when he's like between fights. He kind of gets that little.
Even
it happens.
Even like Michael Chandler has come out and he even said like I think sometimes he's either in the 190s to 200 range, but he still makes it down to 155.
Paddy Pimblett just said he's 200 pounds, and he fights 155, and on fight night he looks just fine. And it doesn't matter if like the hydration tests are great because you feel like, hey, okay, these fighters will be healthier when they're in the cage. I get that. But the weights changing, like the name of the weight to make the more accessible, like you're bringing in flyweight fighters and saying, hey, fight at 135 pounds instead of 100. Well, the reason those guys fought a lot of times at 125 pounds is because they couldn't hang at 135 pounds. I mean, let's be real. Look at DJ, one of the greatest to ever do it. He was getting dominated by Dominic Cruz at 135 pounds. That's why they created the 125-pound division for him and Benavidez and those guys. You look at that stuff, and there's a reason for it. The truth is, if a fighter wants to walk in, if they're a 155-pound fighter and they want to walk around at 170 pounds and walk in at 155 pounds on fight night, they could do it easily. But they don't. There are usually 190, 200-pound guys cutting down to 155 pounds. So I can appreciate what one has tried to do, but I think it's hypocritical in the fact that they're just naming it different. The only thing they really do different is the hydration test.
Yep.
That's my thoughts. Any final thoughts on this whole thing?
No, like I said, everybody's different. Like I said, I just think it's different. I don't think it's better. I mean, I don't think it's worse either. But like I said, it's just different.
I just feel like if a fighter's going to find a way to cheat the system, they're going to. They're going to try to get every advantage they can. Doesn't matter. If you change the rules, they'll find different ways. It's no different than almost any aspect of life. Everybody's looking for an edge over somebody else, especially when it comes to sports. All right, that's Battleground. Make sure you leave a comment. Let us know what you think of one's weight cutting policy, what you think of the whole event they had last weekend. I thought it was pretty awesome. I know we kind of crapped on them on the weight cutting thing, but, they put on a fantastic show. So leave a comment. Let us know. Now it's for everybody's favorite time, our previews, our picks. Brandon got one over on me last week because mainly I had a fight canceled. Technically, I won that fight with a substitution, but that doesn't count in our ratings. So Brandon crept up a little bit more in those percentage points over me. But Brandon, we got a big heavyweight banger coming up this weekend. UFC Paris. They're doing shoeies together. They seem very personable and likable towards each other going into the fight. But we know Ciryl Gane and Bam Bam Tuivasa are going to throw down come Saturday night in Paris or Saturday afternoon in Paris. Yep. We also have Robert Whittaker and Marvin Vettori in the co-main event. So some really good action. Funny enough, I think this card might be slightly as good, if not slightly better than the pay-per-view card they're doing the week after. But we'll talk about that at a later date. Brandon, let's start off in the main event, UFC Paris. We got Ciryl Gane coming off kind of a rocky stretch. He got that loss to Francis Ngannou and then had a fight canceled. Here he is now fighting the new up-and-coming guy in Tai Tuivasa, who's the next, big thing. When just not even earlier this year, we were talking about Ciryl Gane being the next big thing. What do you expect in this main event clash, and who do you think is going to come out on top?
I expect Ciryl Gane to get a W in front of the home crowd. Saying he is from France. This is in France, so to me, this is a big night for him. I think he's going to come out and he's going to show out. Like I said, we already know what Tai Tuivasa is going to do. He's going to come out and he's going to throw some bombs. That's what he's known for. That's what he does. But to me, I feel like Ciryl Gane, we're still kind of figuring out who he is. Like he kind of just came out on the scene saying we know he can strike, but also too we know that he can take it to the ground. So I really think he's gonna really just out technique Tuivasa, just like how Ciryl Gane had did to Derek Lewis, and he's gonna get his hand raised.
So Derek Lewis kind of is like the measuring tape for both of these guys, right? Both of them fought him. Both of them survived him. And both of them took home the W. Both of them got a stoppage against Derek Lewis, right? The thing is, I think this fight is more tailor-made for Ciryl Gane than it is for Bam Bam. Because if we know that Bam Bam kind of showed a little bit, especially in that Derek Lewis fight, that he can go to the ground if he needs to. He can wrestle if he needs to. But he wants to stand and bang with you. We saw in the Francis Ngannou fight that maybe Gane's ground game isn't as strong as we thought it was, at least not in a wrestling way. Maybe he's good at jiu-jitsu, but not wrestling, because that's how Ngannou took him out. That if you're going to stand and bang with Ciryl Gane, you're probably going to lose, because Ciryl Gane's kickboxing and Muay Thai is at a level above what Bam Bam can do. But what Tuivasa does do is take a punch better than anybody we ever seen. Derek Lewis landed bombs on Tua, and we thought he was done. And he still came back and got the knockout. So I think when you look at it that way, I'm picking Ciryl Gane because I think, like you said, he's more technical. He can hit you in different angles. He can come at you in different angles, and he doesn't really have to worry about the takedown because Tuivasa doesn't want to take you down. Ty doesn't want to take you down. He wants to stand and bang, and that allows Ciryl Gane to use that athleticism that everybody talks about, him being so fast and so agile. That allows him to do what he does. So I'm with you. I think Ciryl Gane's going to take this one and kind of cement his place to probably be next in line to whoever comes out of that Stipe John Jones fight that we might see sometime around UFC 282 if John Jones gets his way. So, over in the co-main event, we got a couple former title contenders, Robert Whittaker versus Marvin Vettori. I'm really excited for this fight. I think it's going to be fight of the night, and I think it could go either way. How are you looking at this one, Brandon?
I mean, I know you say it could go either way, but to me, man, this is a Robert Whittaker fight. To me, he is the better martial artist, former champion.
I gotta try to hype it up, Brandon.
He took Adesanya to the limit. In their last fight, really, like nobody kind of has except for Kelvin Gastelum. At 185. So to me, man, this is
Vettori.
He didn't
split decision the first time.
He didn't take him to the limit. Get out of here, man. Judges were sleeping.
So you're thinking Whittaker all day in this one?
Oh yeah.
Look, I think it's a tale of two sides of the coin. Which Robert Whittaker are we going to see? The one that played it safe and conservative to stretch it out to 5 rounds against Izzy, where we were like, okay, who won this fight? It's a questionable decision, because honestly, I thought Whittaker won the last 3 rounds of that fight and could have been given the decision. I wasn't mad that Izzy did get it because I didn't think Whittaker took many chances, but he did do enough to kind of scrap out a few rounds. Vettori's going to come out and he's going to scrap with you. It doesn't matter if it's Costa. It doesn't matter if it's Izzy. He's going to come out and he's going to scrap with you. I still remember how great he was in the Jack Hermanson fight. Look, he has all the potential to make this fight dirty, messy, and fun to watch. And I honestly think Robert Whittaker will win this fight just purely because of his skill level. But I think it is a much more up in the air type fight because I really don't know how much Izzy took out of Robert Whittaker, like how much he broke his spirit. Because Robert Whittaker, the first time he lost to Izzy, he's like, I can't wait to get back and get this guy. And then the second time, he just looked defeated. He just looked defeated, even though he might have actually won the fight, depending on people had different opinions on it. Which Whittaker are we going to get? And that's really, has he reset the button? Is he ready to be the Reaper again?
Bobby
in that case, he's
coming back.
Yeah, if that's the case, he's going to run through Vettori. But if he comes in slipping, Vittori's not going to back up. Vittori's going to come straight through him. So I'm picking Whittaker, but I'm not very confident in that pick. A lot of local fighters, a lot of European fighters on this one. I'm really kind of looking forward to that Benas St. Denis fight because, that guy, one fight he's like almost dead. The next fight he comes out and gets a quick finish. So he's a great guy to watch. What fight are you looking forward to on this card? What's your fight pick of the night?
My fight pick, I'm going to go with John Makdessi versus Nasrat. And I'm picking Nasrat to get the job done. I think this is a John Makdessi retirement fight. I think if Makdessi takes the L, he's done packing his bags. He's out of the UFC.
I mean, he's 37, but he's won way more than he's lost. I don't know about that one. He's just won 4 out of 5 fights. If he loses this fight, I don't think he's going to get bounced. You think he's just going to quit on his own retirement?
Hey, I'll tell you this. I remember. I think it was a Dana White Contender Series, maybe the last week or so. I think somebody had asked him about them giving out contracts to a lot of fighters, and he basically said like, "Oh, we got a lot of fighters who are going to retire soon. So you just look at the upcoming cards, people who are going to be leaving the UFC soon. And I'm sorry, just McDessie, he kind of just came across my radar. And I was like,
well, I mean, he hasn't been very active lately. I mean, he's only fought like once a year for the last 5-6 years.
Yeah, so, injuries and everything. So I mean, I'm just saying he could be. He could. I mean, I'm saying he could. I mean, heck, man, he could win and still say deuces. You know, I'm just thinking like he could be on his way out. Hey, I could be wrong, but I'm just giving my 2 cents on that one.
No, I mean, I was just surprised you said that. I was actually surprised you picked against him too, because Nazareth's coming off 2 straight losses too. But hey, that's why you're the lead dog, and I'm Mr. Number 2 right now, so I can't say nothing. I thought of a couple other fights on this one. I really thought about the ZM fight versus Figlak, but I'm gonna go with Charles Jourdain, and Nathan Wood. Man, Nathaniel Wood is a banger. Charles Jourdain came off that very questionable loss to Shane Burgos in his last fight. I'm surprised he's back so quickly, but the fight obviously in his backyard in Paris, he wanted to get on this card. I think this fight, everything about this fight favors Nathaniel Wood, because Nathaniel Wood has no backup, no chill. You know, another guy just comes straight forward for all 3 rounds. And Jourdain just fought a very tightly contested, hard fight against Shane Burgos less than a month ago, or a month and a half ago. Flying back and forth, coast like from America to Europe, all these things going on, another weight cut. I just think everything favors Nathaniel Wood in this one. It's going to be a close fight. It's going to be a fun fight. Obviously, we know Charles Jourdain doesn't have any backup either. He keeps coming as well. But I think Nathaniel Wood's going to get the job done here. Also on this card, and I'm going to butcher a number of these names, Alessio DiCerico going against Kopylov. Talked about the McDessie fight. We got William Gomez versus Jarno Aarons. We also got Magomedov versus Stoltzfus. We got Ziem versus Figlak, which is going to be a great fight. Imavov versus Joaquin Buckley. That one's going to end up in a knockout one way or another. Saint Denis versus Miranda. We got Taha versus Quiones, and Stephanie Egger versus Aylin Perez. I'm surprised you didn't pick the ladies fight, Brandon.
Yeah, you know, got to switch it up on you sometimes.
You still mad she messed you up your last pick?
Nah, it's all right. Yeah.
Any other fights kind of stand out to you on this card? Something you're looking forward to?
Nah, I mean, I'm always down to see how Joaquin Buckley does. You know, like I said, you know, his last fight, he had a good performance. So let's see if he can keep growing.
Well, he's training with that self-defense guy now, man. He can take your weapon away or he can knock you out. Either way. But Imavov isn't no joke, so that's going to be a fun fight. Like I said, there's some really fun fights on this card. And as far as action goes and finishes and stuff, I think this fight card might be better than the pay-per-view they're trying to sell you next week for $75. Any final thoughts today, Brandon, before we get out of here? I know you were talking. There's an Invicta card coming up this weekend, right?
Yeah, exactly. This Wednesday, you know, Invicta is coming out saying Julian DeCourcy is fine for the title. You know, a fellow a Northeaster, because she's out there in Long Island. So, you know, I'll definitely be watching, you know, her fight.
Cool stuff. You also got Dana White's Contender Series, which by the time this show airs tomorrow will already have happened. It happens every Tuesday night. They've had a great stuff going on. A lot of action. Luke's Fight League is this weekend. We didn't get a chance on Crossing Borders to talk about it this week because Alex is busy with a lot of stuff. It's always crazy on Fight Week what he's kind of cramming in. You know, we all have day jobs, and he's kind of cramming in stuff on his day job so he could travel at the weekend to do the event. But they got a big event this weekend down in Mexico. And then, like you said, Invicta coming up this week as well. So a lot of really good stuff going on. Make sure you check out. It's not just always UFC. Sometimes we got some really good local promotions. CFFC is always putting on some great stuff. They just had a great grappling event going on. It's a lot of really cool stuff checking out. When we don't have big fights coming up every single week, it gives us a chance to really appreciate some of the more local and regional MMA that we kind of look over a lot. We don't have the time. Like, that's one thing, Brandon, I've always been kind of especially since the pandemic, right? When they really turned it up high gear and we had a fight every single week. And it was always in the Apex or over in Fight Island. And me, you, and Sergio, every single week, we wanted to talk about like CFFC or something else, but we had to talk about the UFC every single week. And then Bellator, when they came in, they were doing the same thing. It was just such a fast pace. I like it when it slows down. It gives fights a more big fight feel. It gives, like, you know, some of these pay-per-views a more bigger feel when you have a couple weeks in between that you can you could hype it up. You could talk about it. But every single week, things get lost in the shuffle because there's so much action. I think UFC, MMA in general needs to slow down a little bit and kind of do like boxing does a little bit, where you got these big fight feels for some of these cards. That's why they get paid more money, because there's more of a big fight feel. But that's my thoughts on that. Nice quick episode, huh, today, Brandon?
Yep.
I'm sure they'll load up the card for us starting next week and going into the fall. Everybody enjoy UFC Paris this weekend. Make sure you check out FightersFirst.shop. Get the latest collections, including the mechanic collection. Support your boy. I know he's your number one hero, and I'm number two, so I'm doing my best to hang on. But go ahead and check out FightersFirst.shop. Let our apparel be a part of your story. And like I said, stay tuned to social media, because coming this weekend, we're going to be dropping some big news. Got another legendary I'll give you this hint. It's a legendary professional wrestler from back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Like, he had like over a 40-year career. And if you are a diehard wrestling fan, like I know some of our fan base is like an older wrestling crowd. They really appreciate the Dynamite Kid and British Bulldog and Bad News. You'll appreciate this other one, because this guy made noise for a number of years, and he's another guy that should be in the Hall of Fame and isn't. So we'll work on getting him in the Hall of Fame. But stay tuned. That's as much hint as I can give you. For the mechanic, Brandon Cuttino, I'm Mike Ginn. Make sure you check out all the shows on the network and keep supporting us, because we love you supporting us. We love you leaving the comments. We love you leaving all the stuff. We're growing really fast. So thank you very much. Enjoy the fights this weekend, folks. We're out.